What's up, everybody? Swanky Games here, and today I'm going to attempt a Lee Shaolin starter guide. If you guys end up finding this useful or informative, consider liking and subscribing. The more that you do, the more the other people can see my videos, and the more I can ultimately help more people, which is what I want to do. First things first, bear in mind that I do not main Lee. I've only played him for about 2 weeks, and I've only made it to Battle Ruler. I might be able to get further, but unfortunately that was the end of the 2 weeks, and it's going to be a minute probably before I get a chance to play him again. However, although some things may not be recommended by, say, a more advanced Lee player, this should still help you climb the ranks to a point, and then hopefully by the time you get to that point, you can put your own little flair on it and kind of get things going. Also, I have my Discord up, and we're already growing as a small community of people trying to learn and get better at this game. So if you're new and you want to learn, or you're a friendly, experienced player who's cool with, who wants to help out, or just wants to get in some GGs, consider hopping on over. I do coaching. I like to do sessions with players, and you guys can be some of the first to know when I'm about to be on YouTube, or I'm about to post a video or stream, something of that nature. So I'll be putting the link in the description down below. So if you guys want to head on over, as well as timestamps. I'm sure there will be parts where some of you guys already know things, or other parts where you guys are more excited to learn things. So I will be putting timestamps in the description down below so that you guys can skip around and get to the good stuff. All right, so before we get too far into things, I do like to go over the notations. Again, this is meant to be a starter guide. I'm not going to assume that you guys know what I'm talking about when I mention things. If you do know what I'm talking about, you can feel free to skip ahead. However, if you don't, I got you. I'm not going to ask you to go find another video to find it. I got you guys here. So when it comes to notations, I'm only going to focus on the ones that are going to be useful today. If I forget something or I don't cover something now, I'll make sure to cover it later. However, the main ones we're going to focus on is 1, 2, 3, and 4. You also will hear me say 1 plus 2 or 3 plus 4. You might also hear me say forward, back, or neutral. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get this started. So your 1 is going to be your left punch. This is going to be square on the PlayStation or X on the Xbox. Your 2 is going to be your right punch. It's going to be triangle on the PlayStation or Y on the Xbox. Your 3 is going to be your left kick. It's going to be X on the PlayStation or A on the Xbox. And your 4 is going to be your right kick. This will be circle on the PlayStation or B on the Xbox. If I say 1 plus 2, this will simply mean both punch buttons at the same time. This will be square and triangle on the PlayStation at the same time, or X and Y on the Xbox at the same time. If I say 3 plus 4, this will mean both kick buttons at the same time. This will be X and circle on the PlayStation at the same time, or A and B on the Xbox at the same time. It is highly recommended, not required, to put binds on your controllers. You don't actually have to do this, like I said, but basically what this is you basically set one button to push numerous buttons at once. For example, 1 plus 2, 3 plus 4, or 2 plus 3 would be my recommendations for Lee. You don't have to do 2 plus 3. If you would rather do the heat burst, that's fine. I'm unaware if he has anything out of 2 plus 3. So if that works, if that is preferable to you, that is fine. I personally do 2 plus 3 because I play a bunch of characters, so it's easier. But do with it what you will. As far as 1 plus 2 and 3 plus 4 are concerned, you can do whatever you want. However, if you do decide to bind 2 plus 3, I would not suggest binding 2 plus 3 and heat burst. 1 is fine, but not both. I just think that's too confusing, especially as a beginner. So just my suggestion, do with it what you will. And then next is going to be forward or back. Forward will always be towards your opponent, and back will always be away from your opponent. You might also hear me say dash. That will usually always mean forward, or back dash, which will always mean to dash away from your opponent. The reason I mention this primarily is because if you're on the other side practicing and you're looking at my notations, you might hear me say forward and see that I'm actually hitting back for you and hit the wrong button, for example. So just bear that in mind. Forward will always be towards your opponent, and back will always be away from your opponent. And neutral is what we're doing right now. It's the absence of pressing a button. So if I were to hit down 4-4, like so, you'll notice that I hit down 4, then there's a space, and then another 4. Neutral in the move list will always be represented by a star, but as you guys can see here, a star doesn't appear just because I'm doing nothing. So make sure you guys bear that in mind. If I hold down, a whole different move comes out. If I let go of down and let there be a neutral, then a whole different move comes out. So that's what neutral can do for a lot of characters. And without that out of the way, let's go ahead and move on. Let's go over Lee's game plan, his overall character, based on what I've learned. Lee is built for counter hits. He has very good counter hits, very good frame trap, just frame trap specifically, and a lot of keep out. Probably one of the best keep out tools in the game, back 4. Very, very good tool. Counter hit launches. Back 4 is pretty decent, but I find it's too slow. Back 4 seems pretty good. The best part is that it's safe on block. So very, very good. So basically, Lee excels at dealing with people that like to press buttons and tries to rush in too much. So like, here's where you want to be with Lee, for the most part. Here's where you don't want to be with Lee. He is very poor. Lee is very ineffective if the opponent is in your face and like frame trapping you for the most part. Or the worst part is when they aren't really much of a presser. Like they don't push buttons all that often, because Lee needs them to push into these strings. Like he has a lot of moves that lock opponent down, will lock your opponent down and get a good amount of damage out of it. But if they don't push into you, a lot of his strings can be ducked or dealt with in some way. For example, that's this is one of my, a very good launcher. However, if your opponent knows it's coming, they can duck it. And yeah, there's a high mid to mix it in with, which is great. And it even leaves you crouched, which is nice. But this is usually what you'd go for. And if your opponent is aware of it, they can duck it and punish you for it. Same with like this. It's a high, mid, high. The last hit can be ducked. So that, you know, so it's not so common in the beginning, or like this move, for example, is a big one. 4-2-1. It says it's -10, but with that pushback, nobody's ever gonna punish you for it. But it's a mid-high that JO's on hit, and it's 14 frames, so it's godlike. Or probably one of his best tools is his wall rising 2-3. It's -12 on block, I believe. -13 on block. But it's still a really big tool for him. but it being minus 13, you really are hoping that people are going to press so you can get this off. So I would say Lee is more of a defensive counter hit character. He excels at about 10 to 15 frame punishment, as well as making your opponent pay for trying to hit you hit into you at the wrong time. His get-in tools are a little lacking aside from running 3-4 and forward 2. This is very, very linear, and this is a high. But his keep-out tools are some of the best tools a character can ask for. Like I said, back 4, back 4, forward 4-3, 1+2, very, very good tools. And this character can be considered one of the hardest characters to learn, since a large chunk of his move list is like just frames. But with a little bit of practice, some of these are definitely easier to handle than others. I wanted to kind of cover my thoughts real quick. This is going to be like a special section for characters after I get done covering them for 2 weeks. But basically, I love this character. It's very satisfying to play him. No win felt undeserved. Even the few times that I did play Lee, I never felt, or got beat by Lee specifically, I never felt like I got trolled. I only ended up wanting to do better so that my Lee could look like theirs. And a big thing too is that when you do land a just frame move, even an easier one like back 1-1-2, it just feels really, really good. And I would recommend Lee to anybody who enjoys a challenge and will enjoy the feeling when you manage to pull your stuff off. If you are into just frames and execution heavy characters, this is definitely a character I would recommend. All right, so next we're going to cover his stances. Lee only has 2 stances. He has misstep, which is just tapping forward. You can see he kind of crouches in a little bit. You just simply hit forward and let go. If you hold forward, he won't go into misstep, so you got to tap it. The biggest part to this is using your while rising moves out of it, which we'll get into later. And his Hitman stance. It's a very, very decent stance, and you get into this stance by hitting 3+4. Alright, so next let's go over Lee's key moves. Keep in mind that I did only use Lee for about 2 weeks and only got him the battle ruler, so there might be a little bit of controversy with his moves. However, these are what got me to where I got to, so this should help you at least getting started. Again, if you're a higher level Lee player and you don't agree, I apologize. Again, this is what I have found to be more usable, abusable, and what I've found other Lees using as well. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. First move is going to be your 4. This is very, very solid with multiple follow-ups. First one notably being 4-4-4. On hit, this will be -2. On block, this is -13. However, if you do 4-4-4, you're most likely going to go after the just frame version, which is -9 on block. This is a heat engager, so that's the main appeal. But if you don't have heat, this will knock back, which is pretty solid. Pretty good. And then you got 4-up-3. This is the only option of all your 4 options that do not give you, that are not natural on hit or counter hit. The main appeal here is that it is -1 on block. So a lot of people will think that this is more punishable than it is, and then you would mix them up with either 2-2 or down 3 or some kind of an evasive tool if you catch them pressing. That's the main appeal to that. Everything else, however, being 4-3-3 and 4-3-4, all are counter hit guaranteed, at least. So 4-3-3, just kind of get you that. Nothing fantastic. If they're at the wall, you might get an up back 3 from it. 4-3-4 is a natural, is a combo counter hit launcher. My fault. And if the second hit lands, you get guaranteed follow-ups. Like so. The next move is going to be 1+2. This is mid, safe, and homing. On block, this has a -1. You can go into stance by pressing 3+4, and then on block this becomes +2, and it's a counter hit launcher. You do not have to go into stance to make it a counter hit launcher. However, if you do just this raw, you'll have to do a mini sidestep to pick them up. Next move is going to be 4-2-1. This is just your quick mid-high check. Keep in mind it is -10, but with that pushback, that does not matter. Just make sure their back's not to the wall when you use it, and you should be fine. As long as they do not duck the high as well, because this can be ducked on block. But otherwise, it's pretty abusable. Next move is going to be forward 4-3. This is just a quick high mid poke. The mid is not natural on hit, so it is a -8. You can transition into stance. It'll make this -4 on block. Press 4 to go into stance, and on counter hit, the last hit is a counter hit launcher. Pretty solid. Next move is going to be down 4-2. This has crap range, but it's your safe launcher. Next is going to be down 3. This is -1 on hit, whether you go into stance or not, and -15 on block, whether you go into stance or not. You can go into stance by pressing 4, and it's a counter hit launcher. Like so. Next is going to be down back 3+4. This is a little on the slow side, so you want to be careful with this. However, on block, it's only -13, which is not too bad, actually. And then on hit, it is +4. And on counter hit, you get guaranteed follow-ups. Next move is going to be back 2. There's actually a lot of follow-ups here, but the main appeal here is going to be back 2 forward. It's going to be -1 on block. -5 if you don't press forward. But if you press forward, you'll go into misstep at +5 on hit or -1 on block. Very, very solid. And you also have back 2-4 as a follow-up. On block, I believe this is -9. Yep. You will always go into Hitman here, so you don't have an option unless you continue the string. But on hit, this is +6. So very, very solid. And then if you do the last option, the hit will knock back on, will knock back or knock down or whatever on hit. But most of the time it won't be. If it's not ducked and blocked, it'll be neutral on block. Very, very solid. Next move is going to be back 3-3. Very, very solid. It's -1 on hit. If you press forward, it's +4 on hit. On block, this is -14. And your opponent can actually not stand up fast enough to get hit by the high. I think they actively have to try to hit you in order to stand up into that. So if they don't hit anything, they can't even stand up fast enough to block the high. So that's a bad situation to find yourself in. But if you hit forward, as I mentioned before, you can go into misstep, making some moves a little bit more abusable. For example, one setup I've found to be pretty good is back 3-3 into misstep and then hitting down forward 1. This being very, very solid kind of frame trap, if you will. Next move is going to be back 4. This is arguably your best mid long-ranged keep-out tool. It is safe, I believe, at -3. On if you go into stance, it is -2. And if you press 3, you can go into Hitman, as well as being a counter hit launcher. Next is going to be up forward 4. Now this is basically the same thing, same exact uses as down forward 2. Up forward 4, it does 2 more damage than down forward 2 at 14, but it is a low crush. However, it is -13 on block, but in significantly better range than your down forward 2. That's pretty much it. All there is to say about that. Next move is going to be forward forward 3. This comes out at 14 frames. -9 on block is your main heat engager, but knocks back on hit. Pretty good too. Next move is going to be running 3-4. Keep in mind this is very, very linear, but unfortunately it's your best get-in tool. It's mid-mid, it's safe on block, +3 on block. Or if you go into stance by pressing 3 after, it's +6. So very, very solid. Next move is going to be crouched down forward 4. On hit, as you guys saw, it is -3. On block, it is -4. However, on counter hit, you get a free follow-up. Next is going to be wall rising 2-3. This is probably going to be a move you would probably want to abuse the least, but I found this to be very, very abusable, especially as a 14 frame punish. It's very, very good. It's -13 on block. And you get guaranteed follow-ups on hit with forward 4-3. If you have heat, whether you're in heat or not, this becomes a launcher. Like so. And if you're, and that includes if you're in heat already. Pretty solid overall. So very, very nice. Just keep in mind that it is -13 on block, so you don't want to just throwing it out might not be the best idea. Next, we're going to go over some moves from Hitman stance. The first move, always check to see what your fastest move is, which is going to be, in his case, 1. He has a few follow-ups, but the main thing here is pointing out the fact that he has a 12 frame jab here, which is good for if you find yourself in a situation like this, for example. Oh, my bad. Your 1 jab will always beat them. So that's good. Then you have Hitman 2. I do believe this is -13 on block. Yep. It's a high crush, and it's your main Hitman launcher. Pretty solid. You're going to mix that in with a different move we'll talk about here in a moment. Between both these moves, actually, which will be Hitman 3. This is -3 on block, but it is a homing high power crush. So very, very solid. And on hit, it turns into a little grab, dealing 40 plus damage, which is awesome. Can't complain. The next move is going to be Hitman 4. This is kind of a slow low, but let's see. Oh yeah, it's -13 on block, and on on counter hit, you get a free follow-up or a free launch. Pretty solid. Being only -13 is awesome. And then the last move out of Hitman is going to be your 1+2. Very, very solid. It's -5 on block, and +6 on hit. My fault. And then, and that's and on counter hit, this knocks back. Very, very solid. Next is going to be honorable mentions. Here, one honorable mention is going to be 1-2-4. Most notably the just frame version, but I understand that not everybody can do that every single time, which is why it's an honorable mention and not a key move. The 1-2-4 without the just frame is -1 on block, or on hit. Either way, this is -12 on block, like so. However, the main appeal here is the just frame version. On hit is +5. You can either way. You can go into Hitman by pressing 3. It's very, very solid. It's a solid knowledge check to see if your opponent knows that or not. If they don't, then this might be something to use pretty abusively. Next is going to be your 2-1. This is actually really, really good, and you could put this in key moves. I didn't find myself using it that much, which is why it's an honorable mention. And honestly, that's the only reason. It's just because I didn't really find myself using this all that much. But it has so many mix-up opportunities. First off, if you press 3 + 4, you can go in a stance. It's -5 either way, whether it gets blocked and you go in a stance or not. It's -5. And on hit, it's +6, which is fantastic. Then you have follow-ups, which is going to be 2-1-1, which is -12 on block. However, the last hit is a counter hit launcher, which is very, very awesome. And you'll mix this up with 2-1-3, which is a high that also counter hit launches. And 2-1-4, which does not, it doesn't counter hit launch, but you can get a free 4-4, 4-4-4, or 4 mix up, like so, on counter specifically. So keep that in mind. Next honorable mention is going to be down back 3. There's nothing special about this move. It's just a simple low poke. Comes out of 20 frames, -1 on hit, -12 on block, and that's it. No stance transition, no counter hit move. It's just a simple way to chip at your opponent's health. Next move is going to be back 1, 1+2, which you can only do the just frame version of this. -6 on block. It can be ducked, but with that pushback, it don't matter. And then you also have back 1-1-2. You have a non-just frame version, which is +1 on hit and -11 on block. And then you have a just frame version, which is the preferred version. On block, it is -6. And on hit, this knocks back for nothing guaranteed on hit, but it will knock them back. If I can do it today, that'd be fantastic. And then it's 41 damage. Again, nothing is guaranteed, and they can just roll out of it. But if their back's to the wall, it'll either back 1+2 or back 1-1-2 just frame version will wall splat, which is really nice, being at 14 frames. Next move is going to be up back 3. Keep in mind this is -13. However, it is extremely evasive, and on counter hit, you get a free launch. So bear that in mind. Next move is going to be up 4-3-4. The only reason this is an honorable mention is because it's a little slow. It's basically a poor orbital. However, it does have a follow-up, an up 4-3-1 that is -12 on block. And kind of leaves you in crouch. However, the main appeal here is up 4-3-4 on hit. All that is guaranteed, and you can get a free launch. So, pretty good. Next move is going to be 4-4-2. You want the just frame version would be the recommended version here. It comes out 18 frames instead of the 20 frames. On hit, it doesn't do anything fantastic. It does 3 more damage, so this does 23. And then this version does 26. And either which way, regardless what version you do, it gets you A full counter hit launcher. Very good. Next move is going to be slide. There's two different ways to do this. The first version is from misstep, you hit 3+4. There's no just frame version in this version. However, there is a just frame version in full crouch, down 4, 3. There's nothing too notable about it. It just does 3 more damage, but it's still nice that you can get something out of it. On counter hit, I don't think you get anything guaranteed for sure. But if they do try to get up, I don't think there's much they can do that can get out of most situations. So pretty solid. For example. So pretty good overall. Keep in mind that close up, this is -15 on block. But further away, this changes. You can go anywhere between -9 to -11 or -12 pretty comfortably. However, that the same can also be said about your plus frames. If you do this right in their face, you get +3, and then the further back you go, you get more plus frames. So it just depends. Just be careful that it already has a long startup at 25 frames if you're doing this from misstep. So doing it back here, it just makes that take longer. So bear that in mind. Next move is going to be wall rising 1-2. It's the mid-high. If you do the one by itself, you'll go into Hitman. You can also do wall rising 1-4. You could go into Hitman by pressing 3 here, but you'll get less frames. I don't think that's worth it unless you want to get that distance, which is fine. But the main appeal here is going to be wall rising 1-2. The whole thing is natural. On block, it's -7. If you go into misstep by pressing forward, it's -3. And this is going to be the main reason why you would use it, is to go into misstep. You can actually just hold forward here. It's kind of nice. That'll be explained further in a bit. And then the last move is going to be wall rising 2-4. This is going to be a direct 50-50 between wall rising 2-3. 2-4 is a high, however, it's a mid-high. That is -2 on block. So if they don't duck it, that's -2, and you're actually at the distance that you would want to be at. So very, very good. But nothing's guaranteed, as you can see. So bear that in mind. And that is all for key moves and honorable mentions. So let's go ahead and move on. All right, so let's go over his punishment next. Lee has a lot of punishment. He's very, very good at his punishment. So the first thing is going to be he has an easy 10 frame punish and a hard 10 frame punish. The easy one is going to be 1-2-4. If you get the non-just frame version, it's -1. If you get the just frame version, it's +5. The hard version is going to be 1-3-3-3. And then up back 3, that is guaranteed. It is very hard. However, with a little bit of practice, you can get it pretty often. He doesn't really have anything for 11, 12. You can do forward 4 here, but it doesn't really give you anything. The follow-up can be blocked. But it is there if you want to use it. Otherwise, your 1-2-4 or 1-3-3 1-3-3-3 works just fine. There we go. Either one of those will work fine. Down forward 1 is going to be a 13 frame punish. Nothing fancy. But then you have a down forward 4-4. It's going to be your heat engager. Very, very nice. 14 frames is going to be your back 1 plus 2, or back 1 1 2. Either one works. The non-just frame version won't knock down, but it'll leave you at +1. I don't think you could do that one without it being a just frame, so the main one we're focusing on here is this one. And then the just frame one will knock down. Nothing's guaranteed, even if there are backs to the wall, but it's there. At 14 frames, you got down forward 2, up forward 4, and forward 3 3 3 3 3 4, like so. And that's pretty much all the notable punishment for standing. While rising, he has 10 frames, 3 3. One of the few characters that has a decent 10 frame punish. You do lose your turn, but most people aren't going to attack right away because they're afraid of your follow-ups. Then you got 11 frame at 4, gives you +5, and you can go into stance by pressing 3. At 14 frames, you got wall rising 2 3, and a forward 4 3 to get a nice chunk of damage, or wall rising 2 4, just to keep it compact. And then at 19 frames, you have up forward 4. Like so. And before we continue, I do want to go over a few things to learn. The first thing is going to be his back 2 forward. This part's pretty easy. Just practice doing this, and then practice doing it multiple times in a row. Like so. And then this is the part that's going to be pretty tricky. So you're going to do your misstep, and then while you're in the misstep, you're going to tap back. Like this. Right when you tap back, let me see if I can do this. You can see that he's crouched, right? So as soon as you tap back, you're going to practice doing wall rising 1 2, or wall rising 2 3. It's going to be very, very tricky at first. What I did when I was learning is I would hit back 2 forward, and then tap back, and then hit whatever I wanted to hit. It does take practice, and it is very, very difficult. But once you get it, it becomes a lot more consistent. But as you can see, like, I'm even having issues. But I find it easier when you off of a back 2. I don't know why. So I'll just practice doing this over and over again. And, just keep practicing like that. The way I would suggest doing it, like I said, back 2 forward, and then just practice doing the, then you'll hit back, back, and then just try to do the jab. Like so. And another thing as well is practice doing back 2 forward, and then forward 4 1. The cool part is you don't even have to let go of forward here. So this will help you with some of your combos. And that's for, like, if you're having issues with this, because this gets you better stuff. If I could do it today, that'd be fantastic. Like so. Get you a little bit more damage. So just practice this. It takes time, it takes practice. Can't really break it down much better for you than that. You're just gonna have to practice. Like I said, back 2, back 1 1 forward is also an option. And then you can kind of go from there. So yeah, I think that's about it. All right, so before we continue, I do want to discuss some Anti-Lee versus Hwo matchup stuff, because this is predominantly a Tekken 8 Hwo channel. I feel like I wouldn't be doing my due diligence if I didn't try to cover how to defeat a Lee with Hwo. So, apologies to you Lee mains who I'm about to make your life a little bit more difficult, but hopefully not too much. Keep in mind that in beginner and intermediate and maybe some higher level of gameplay, Hwo will usually have the upper hand as long as he can get in Lee's face. Because again, whereas Lee excels at dealing with you a couple steps away, Hwo excels at dealing with you when he's in your face. So basically, if the Lee player can keep the Hwo away, then the Lee will usually win. Whereas if the Hwo can get in Lee's face, then the Hwo will usually win. Neither one of these guys are hopeless when it comes to the other's strong gameplay situation. However, I would say in this particular matchup, Lee has maybe a few more extra options to keep Hwo away from him than Hwo does to get in towards Lee's space. So keep that stuff in mind going forward. Some Lees have, Lee as a character has a lot of high mids and mid highs. Almost none of these are ever going to be plus on block. Especially if you see moves like 4-2-1, for example. This can be difficult to spot. However, if you can learn to react to this, you can duck the high. This is a big deal because Lees love to use this move in almost every level of gameplay. So if you can spot this and react to it, you can launch him for this, for example. And what's more is you can learn to really react to it. I'm talking like you see it and you definitely know how to react to the high. You can literally just duck real quick, stand back up, and punish him with a back three. Like so. And then you can get 60, 70 plus damage for him trying to do a simple 4-2-1. It's fantastic. Another very big tool that Lees love to use is running 3-4. This is probably Lee's best get-in tool, and it's not terrible. It is +3 on block, +6 if he goes into Hitman. Towards his back, this is very hard to sidestep. Very hard. That doesn't make it impossible, it's just very hard. However, if you sidestep towards his stomach, this move has no tracking whatsoever, which means you can actually launch him from the back. If you can see that he's running towards you, if you just simply sidestep towards his stomach, you'll usually get out of the way pretty comfortably. So bear that in mind. So the next move is going to be wall standing 2-3. This move, higher level Lees tend to drop this a little bit, but I would say this is more of a beginner and intermediate move, and even some high level Lees use it. But this is -13 on block, which is a big deal. They love to throw it out because of everything they can get out of it. However, being -13, you can still get, say, a 4-3, which gives you 30 damage, leaves you in your opponent's face at +5. Or you can do down 4, 3+4. Especially if you still have heat, you can either go into heat or you can do a heat burst to get a guaranteed follow-up, which is fantastic. So very solid overall. So just be careful. If you are a Lee going up against a Hwo, those are a couple options he has against you. Lee has other options as well. It's just they're almost as risky or not really worth the effort to throw out. So bear that stuff in mind. So next is going to be Lee's down 3. You're never going to be expected to react to this. However, if you can react to it, you should at least try to get something, if not a full launch punish that you can get, because this is minus 15. However, the big thing here is that even if it hits you, you're at +1 as Hwo. And he doesn't have too many options in this situation. His best options are either too slow. He has an armor crush that you can, so you can do a jab, and he can actually, and he'll still absorb it, but you won't get damage because you'll recover faster than the move will hit you. And he has a couple options here that he can use to really make things difficult. The first option being down 3, Hitman into 2. This can be quite tricky because it is a high crush, like so. However, what you may not know is, especially if the Lee is trying to abuse this, one, it is minus 13 on block. You can make him pay for that, same as you could while rising 2-3. But another big thing is that you can actually sidewalk this pretty comfortably to his left. Especially with Hwo, you could do forward 3 and get out of it entirely pretty comfortably. So that is one option. Another thing that Lees love to do is Hitman into 4. The big issue here is that, yeah, it's 13. It's minus 13. So yeah, you can launch. You can't do anything. It's pretty safe for what it is. However, you can get out of this with a side walk to his side here. As you guys saw, it can clip. It does have decent tracking, but even so, the thing about both of these options is that no matter what the situation, if you see down 3 and you know he's going to throw these options out, you can just simply throw out a down forward 1, and both of these moves no longer work. So keep those in mind. Also keep in mind, as I mentioned before, Lee is a fairly linear character. So he has, and like his best tool is going to be Hitman, or wall running 3-4 into Hitman, because that'll leave him at +6. So whether he goes into Hitman or not, you can just sidestep out of the way of a lot of his options here. And there's not a whole lot he can do about it. And you can pretty much launch him every single time for it, pretty comfortably. All right, so next what we're gonna do is cover his combos. Most of his combos are gonna be relatively, or kind of difficult. I opted to pick a few things where, for them, there's still some difficulty in there, but overall the combo is fairly easy, and you can just kind of add the difficult stuff when you feel like you need to. And a lot of these combos will be, the middle and ends will be relatively the same. It's mostly about the beginning parts that you kind of have to change up a little bit. And we'll get into more detail as we go. But for the first launcher, we're going to be doing down forward 2 and up forward 4. So the combo is going to look like this. Like so. So all that is going to be is after you're down forward 2 or you're up forward 4, you're going to hit back 2, 4, 3. after your back 2, 4, 3, you can either add in a back 2 forward or just go straight into forward 4, 1. And then end it either with forward 4, 3 or running 3, 4. Either way works. So it'll look like this. Pretty easy, right? And with that back 2, once you hit forward, you never actually have to let go of forward. So I think that's what makes it so much easier for me personally, is that you never actually have to let go of forward. So like so. And then here, if you want to add heat, you can either just go straight into heat, or you can do back 2 forward. Here you will have to let go of forward, but it's pretty sloppy. You can kind of let go of forward whenever you're ready, and then just add heat, you know, do your heat engager from there, and then finish the combo like that. So it would look like this. Right? Or however you want to do it is perfectly fine. From here, you would just simply do a forward, forward 3 into another forward, forward 3. Not my bad. Get those mid 60s, can't complain, right? All right, so from here, you basically do the same thing for your rage, and you can either add back 2 or not, up to you. So it'll look like this. You can either go straight into rage, or you can add that back 2 in there, like I mentioned. Either way works perfectly fine. Get those mid 70s, can't complain. All right, so next we're gonna be learning his 1+2 counter hit combo. For this, I would strongly recommend going into Hitman, only because off of 1+2, if you go doing it raw, you'll have to do a quick sidestep. I just think going into Hitman just makes this easier because you don't really have to do anything. You just gotta wait for his hand to come out. You can also do a down 3 and do the same exact combo. And the combo's gonna basically be 1+2 or down 3 into Hitman. And you'll hit back 3, 3 forward. So back 3, 3 forward, like so. And then from here, you can either just go straight into your forward 4, 1, or you can add your back 2 in there if you would like to. So it'll look like this. Into your ender. Like so. And that's pretty much it. So like I said, you can either do back 3 as well. Keep in mind, as you guys see, sometimes the pickup can be quite tricky. But otherwise, it's still pretty easy. And then from here, like I said, you'll either do running 3, 4 or 4, 4, 3. To do your heat, it's basically the same stuff. The heat and rage will all be the same. So it'll look like this. Forward, 4, 3 into another forward, forward 3. And then your rage. And last, but simply not least, you have your back 4. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I usually opt to go into Hitman only because I like to imagine that my opponent could block. And this kind of gives me that distance in case I'm wrong. But you don't actually have to go into Hitman to do this. But either way, you're going to tap forward to go into misstep. This is just going to close the distance. You're going to hit down 2. Afterwards, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You can either go straight into forward 4-1, or you can add a back 2 in there. And here is probably the best opportunity if you wanted to try to learn to do it, to add in the while rising 1-2 off of misstep and the while rising 2-3 off of misstep. I'll show you guys what all that looks like here in a moment. But easy version first. Like so. And then, like I said, you can always add in the back 2. Like so. And then if you would like to try to, you can add in the while rising 1-2 as well. Looks like this. And then if you want to try to add the while rising 2-3, it would look like this. Like so. And then you would just simply end it either with forward 4-3 or running 3-4. So it'll all look like this when all said and done. And then if you wanted to add heat, pretty much the same thing. Like so. And same with rage. Get you into those mid 80s. Cannot complain. And with all that out of the way, let's continue to the last section. All right, so on to the next bit is going to be wall enders. Lee actually has quite a few wall enders. We're just going to focus on 2 right now. Basically, the easiest one, in my opinion, and the hardest one. There's a bunch you can find kind of in between. Like 4-3-4, for example, works. But we're just going to focus on the easy ones. The combo I'm going to be doing is going to be down 4-2 and a 4 up 3, back 2 into while rising 2-3. And ending it with either forward 2-1 or back 2-4 into Hitman. The first combo ender is going to be down 4, neutral 4, 3-3. So if you keep holding down, you'll get this low, which is not what you want. So you want to get down 4, neutral 4 to get the high, and then you'll do 3-3 to get the rest. So it'll look like this. And the combo will end or look like this. So pretty solid. Gets you pretty good damage for what it is. I think it's like 19 or 21 or something like that. Pretty solid. And the next one's going to be Hitman up forward 4 and the up back 3. This one's a little trickier. So basically, once they're plastered on the wall, you basically want to wait for their feet to hit the ground, like be planted on the ground. Once they're planted on the ground, then you can do the up forward 4. So it'll look like this. And you get quite a bit of damage for that, actually. I believe it's like 20. Let me see. I did not see it. (10 + 16), so 26 damage. That's really good. Honestly, with this one, there's not really an easy way to tell you how to do it. Just wait for his feet to hit the ground, and then once they're firmly on the ground, like not just touching the ground, but once his feet are like almost like he's standing, then do it. It's really hard to explain the timing there, but like basically once his foot is like confidently on the floor, that's when you'll hit a forward four. And you just hit up back 3 afterwards, and you get your 26 damage. If you're wrong, they can stand up, though you might be in a 50-50 situation. So bear that in mind as well. And with that out of the way, guys, I think that is it. That covers everything that I can start teaching you about Lee. So if you guys like this, found it informative, felt I did Lee justice, please let me know in the comments, like and subscribe. Like I said, the more you guys do, the more helps me to help more people. And like I said, that's what I want to do. So thank you guys again for joining me. I appreciate each and every one of you guys stopping by. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Happy gaming and peace.